Want to come up here, Paul? I think we could
sure.
probably sit because it.
Yeah. As they say in Greek, "Geraset," which means we're getting old.
Yeah.
You know,
So I
thank
want to
you.
start off by saying everybody who's here, most of the folks over here are from the directors. Jesse is a vice president of the Hispanic American Labor Council. I'm the president. We got Rafael right here, and Rafael Alvarado, he's a director. We got Victor's also a director. Charlie Hernandez, who is the husband of Lisa Hernandez. He's in Florida. He couldn't make it, unfortunately. And we have another gentleman by the name of Hector Ramos. He works for the city. He couldn't be here today. But we welcome you.
Thank you.
We enjoy your company. We know all about you. I'm not going to get into too much because if we don't know about Paul Valles by now, we'll never know. But I want to say something that Reggie just got through saying in regards to tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a special day over here because we're going to celebrate Cesar Chavez's birthday, one of the greatest labor leaders around. I also want to say that he's the one that always talked about unity, having a seat at the table, and we follow that. Jesse, everybody in organized labor. So I don't have to tell you too much about him because of that.
No.
But also, there is in my opinion, one of the greatest labor leaders that we have in the city of Chicago was Augie Salas. Not only was he a great labor leader, he was also an activist in the community. Didn't ask for anything, just constantly did stuff for folks. Very special to us, and he was my mentor, and he was basically a mentor of everybody in this room here. Right where you're sitting at, Paul, is where Augie would hold court. Every Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, we come over here, we meet, we talk about all the politics in not only the city of Chicago, but really here in Little Village. And then we walk across the street over here to Little Village Community Council and keep on talking and figure out things to do. There's a list of things he did. Once again, never asked for anything, just did it. His daughter's here, Jackie, she could attest to that because he would drag her all the time and bring her over. Saying all that, I also want to talk about the situation that we're in right now. In the city of Chicago, I don't have to tell you about the 18 carjackings or smash and grabs in the north side of Chicago. We got situations over here in Inglewood. We have situations in the back of the yards of shootings, drive-bys. We have smash and grabs in the city of Chicago, downtown Magnificent Mile. We have a situation that happened last night in Austin neighborhood. And then, of course, here in Little Village, gang violence, and also we have two young ladies that are no longer with us. They got shot, and their parents are asking for information, and we're going through hell. So that's what's going on. I want everybody in this room to also understand that if you think about it, the situation that we're in is that 4 years ago, I should say the last administration at the White House, we had an individual there. I call him the Orange Jesus, because that's what Republicans call them, the Orange Jesus, behind his back. That individual emboldened a lot of people to do all kinds of things. And everybody at that time said, give him a chance. Give him a chance. What could he do? Well, guess what? He did a lot. And I always say that because my next thing is that people are talking right now, independents are talking. Give this gentleman that you're running against a chance. We cannot afford to give this man a chance. We're at a crossroads right now here in the city of Chicago, and we need somebody with true leadership in that office. Give him a chance. We have to have a person that walks in there and starts from the day one. We can't afford what's going on here. Between crime, no jobs, there's a lot of situations going on right now that we just cannot afford. Saying all that, I want to read a proclamation that I have here, and I want to throw it over to you because since you came early, I respect that. We're gonna move you along. May 30th, 2023, Paul Valles, Democrat, and I state Democrat, for the office of mayor of the city of Chicago, state of Illinois, has the endorsement of the Hispanic American Labor Council received on this date, March 30th, 2023. Whereas Paul Valles, the grandson of Greek immigrants educated in the public school system. Whereas Paul Valles has a history of creating jobs, help and resolve numerous financial challenges and state economic development financing issues. Whereas Paul Valles is a friend of Hispanic labor, a friend of organized labor, and caring for public safety. Therefore, the Hispanic American Labor Council strongly urges its members, family members, and friends of organized labor to give Paul Valles their vote based on his experience in politics and government. Respectfully submitted, Jose Caez, President of the Hispanic American Labor Council. And everybody, Paul Valles, my mayor and the mayor's, I'm going to call the mayor.
Valles, 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 Valles.
And I want to present you, we have Victor's brother, Fidel's brother, over here, Arturo Barrera, works for the school teacher.
Yes.
And he
GPS teacher.
had a print for you made, and this is from the Carlos Cortez, and he wants you to hang this up in your
I will do
office.
that.
Look at how beautiful that is, everybody.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah,
Thank
look
you.
at that. Yeah.
Oh, gorgeous.
Yeah. And this is the description of that.
All right.
So when we go to your office for a visit, we want to see it hanging up and over there.
I'm gonna make sure so we have this recorded that it'll be in the back of my chair.
Wow. There you go.
All
And
right?
here
So I
that's for you
promise
in
I'll
there.
do that.
Okay.
Thank you very
There.
much.
There's,
Well, thank you.
there's just some symbolism about
Yeah.
the coyote.
The
And
coyote.
it's pretty much explained there, but it just shows the strength and the wisdom and how we're gonna move forward.
Well, this is a wonderful gift, and I'll definitely post it.
Okay.
And here, sit down.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to pause and take a break. It's great to come to have an event at a family-owned restaurant since we grew up in a family-owned restaurant. And you know, I was a stutterer and stammerer for a long time. In fact, for a number of years I was nonverbal. But it was working in my dad's restaurant that taught me more than I ever learned in school. First of all, it taught me to listen more than speak, and since I struggled, that was not that difficult. But it also taught me how you can interact with people with the most diverse opinions. They're like my brother Dean, who stayed in the restaurant business successfully, wrote an op-ed piece where he talked about the restaurant to counter and how the counter was like just the source of all wisdom and of all prejudices, of all attitudes, because people who came to the counter were drawn from such a diverse segment of humanity, so to speak. And you know, you would have people with different views, and what I discovered in interacting with people around the counter was, first of all, number one, how different people's opinions are, and number two, how people could actually change, because many of the regulars who would come and sit at that counter time and time again, I saw over time how their opinions would change, in part because of the other people who had different views sitting next to them side by side time and time again at the counter. So it gave me a kind of a profound understanding of just how diverse people are and how you at least need to listen to what people are saying. You know, so you can find the reason or the truth in what they're saying, or sometimes the untruths, or so you can discover the prejudices or maybe the sources of the prejudices. But what it also taught me how to do was that by listening and by carefully responding, how no one has real fixed positions. People can grow, people can evolve, because we had people at the counter who were early on were mean and were full of prejudices, and years later they were different people. And it was because of the encounter at the counter. So at the diner counter. And my brother wrote this wonderful op-ed piece. He talked about all the characters around the counter. Of course, I was one of those characters too, because I was always, you know, as I got older, always talking politics and things like that. But anyway, so the restaurant experience was just the best experience of my life. It also taught me how to work, even though I didn't like the restaurant business. My dad didn't trust me behind the grill. Also, it also really taught me something about you know, the immigrant community and the dedication that those who come here have to raising their children and giving their children opportunities. You know, I remember Zabata, who started out as a dishwasher with me because my dad didn't trust me behind the grill, because I actually, you know, I didn't have the attention span. I was always reading, and I was into my history and politics as a teacher. So my dad early on realized that the restaurant business was not for me.
You were burning the toast, sir.
That's right, and I would burn the toast. Although when he sent me away to school, I always felt so guilty. I didn't take my car to school because I felt that I shouldn't be going to school to do anything other than study. So every weekend I would hitch a ride home and come home to work in the restaurant. It was just a work ethic. But the interesting thing is, like, Zabata went on to be our cook and then our chef, and then to retire, and he has apartment buildings all over the South Side, and he has his sons are police officers, and one's a lawyer, and was funny because when I went to the Latino Patrolmen's Association, Police Officers Association, I ran into two sergeants. They're sergeants on the Chicago Police Department, and they actually, and I washed dishes in my father's restaurant with their fathers. And here they are, both were sergeants in the police department, and they had worked in my brother's restaurant, of course, when I left. So it's a small world, and the older you get, the world becomes even smaller. So I tell those stories because that was the education. My dad knew exactly what he was doing when he opened got us into the restaurant business. He kept us off the street, fully engaged. When we were out of school, we were working, we were out of trouble. He put a little money in our pocket, and we learned how to work. He gave us choices, and that was the first thing. And then, of course, he gave us a great education, because it's only through the restaurant that you really get a true education and into humanity. So I think it made me a better person. So the old man knew what he was doing. I always say that I didn't realize how smart my old man was until I became an old man myself. So you know, the older I got, the smarter my dad became. So anyway, so I want to thank you. It just brought back memories hearing the story about the origins of this restaurant. Opened 1995. That's about 28 years. That's extraordinary. That's absolutely extraordinary. And seeing you all, and the endorsement, I'm so proud of the endorsement, and I'm so proud of you all in the community. I went to an event yesterday on the north side, and it had Latino professionals from all over the city. It was just extraordinary. Second generation, third generation, traders, bankers, real estate. And, you know, it's like, I mean, it's just extraordinary what that first generation was able to accomplish by making the sacrifices and planting the seeds and watering the flowers, and really and protecting their children, and then in turn their grandchildren. And so it's wonderful to see. It just goes to show you the potential for every community, whether they came here from somewhere else, or whether or not their generations who have lived in that same community. You know, the potential, if we're providing the right supports, if we're providing people with protection, if we're providing quality education, and if we're providing real economic opportunities. In other words, you know, the city is investing its resources in the communities where the needs are the greatest. So this is a great city. It needs great leadership. I'm not coming in as a solo act. There's going to be a lot of people that I'm going to bring into government, many of whom you know, many of whom are drawn from this very community, and we're going to get our city back on track. But I want to thank you very much. I look forward to celebrating.
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh
Your
yes.
birthday tomorrow.
Yeah.
Definitely posting something on it.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so
very
much. Thank you for.
I look forward to seeing you all on the 4th.
Yes.
Pardon me?
Is there a question?
Yes, please. Yeah, I'll take questions. Yeah, take a couple. We have some time.
You know, for the last probably 40 years, HALC has been involved in a lot of political elections, going all the way back to Mayor Richard Day. And we still have always been invisible when you look at City Hall. Where were we? You know, look at the Park District, look at sanitation. We don't just need brooms and shovels to work for the city of Chicago. Let's talk about administration. So when you take over, I would like to commit to trying to find some good leadership, the leadership you're speaking of. I'm sure there's some Latinos in the city of Chicago working already that have the capability to be streets and sand commissioner, water filtration plant over at Olive Park, you know, you name it. We need some people up there that we can see that can work and make the city work.
Well, when I ran the Chicago Public Schools, 26 of my administrators in central administration were Latino. When I came in, there were 2. And we had people like Lynn Dominguez and Carlos, you can go through a list, Carlos Escortia, Domingo Torrio, Gabriel Sissol. We can go on and on and on with the Latinos who were put in positions of leadership. Ana Espinosa, all prominent Latino educators. In addition, Gary Chico and I, during our tenure, 76 Latino educators were selected as either principals or assistant principals.
Wow.
And there were 26 when we came in. And let me tell you, all of my chief of staffs and all of my chief academic officers, with one exception, were either black and Latino. So at the end of the day, we've always drawn from the community. It's not like we were doing it intentionally. It's just that in our schools, the Latino educators were, I'm not singling them out, but the talent was extraordinary. In fact, one of my principals in Philadelphia later on became education secretary in Pennsylvania. So there are over 30 superintendents who at one time or another got their start with me, and about 40% of them are Latino. So I've always had a history of drawing from within the community, people who reflect the community. And you'll see that in my administration. You'll see the people I'm working with. You'll see the people that I'm working with now, like Lizbeth and look, I've had a long time relationship with Juan Rangel going way back. And Dr. Carlos Escortia is still working with me. We have, Eddie Reyes has been active in my campaign. It really runs the gamut. These people are very prominent in my campaign, and they'll be very prominent when I get elected. I'm excited about the opportunity to be the mayor that has a city council with people like Silvana Taveras and others, and so I'm excited about the opportunities. And look, the Latino community is rising. It's growing. It's a dynamic community.
They don't hold back to work hard.
Yeah,
That's what I see.
yeah.
We don't hold back to work
You
hard.
don't.
We know that's just in our roots. It's in our blood.
And
It really is.
And there's much to learn about the dynamism of the community and how the community's single-minded pursuit of ownership and wealth accumulation helps the next generation, because when you accumulate, when you own something and you build wealth, that gets transferred from generation to generation. So our programs in every community, whether it's the Latino community or the Black community, it doesn't matter. We need to be doing things that help create local ownership, whether it's businesses or homes, whatever, and gives people the capacity to build wealth, because that's what gets passed from generation to generation. That's what got passed in the Valles family's generation. That's why all the Valles family grandchildren are all professional. So, and the pursuing first responders, doctors, lawyers, they're all pursuing, some have their own businesses. They're all pursuing success, and it really began with their grandfathers. So anyway, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We've got to go. I will hang this, I promise. And we'll be there. It's critically important. We got to get the vote out.
Yes.
And, some people have tried to make this about something other than competency. I'm also running against the Chicago Teachers Union.
Yes.
We have to understand that. We have to understand that, and that's what we're running against. And you see the lack of representation for the Latino community in the schools or contracts or administrative positions. It's clear. It was a renaissance during our years, Gary Chico and my years, and now it's really become a desert. And of course, people are fleeing the schools in record number, 125,000 fewer students. That's why so many buildings are almost empty. So we're gonna need to get the vote out, because it's all about voter turnout. So don't be denied, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Mayor Valles.
Pleasure. Thank you
Stick
all.
with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless your father.
Thank you.
Thank you, and his legacy. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry. Oh, great.
Jesus Christ, what a kiss him or what?
There you go.
Sit up.
I
Hey, another,
This is what happens when you bite your nails.
I stayed up a little late last night.
You know what?
Yeah.
Just to promote that. El problema con nuestra
It is.
oh, yeah, 35%.
All right. We will. We will. We have to move fast. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, we'll see you soon.
Whatever we
Could
could
have
do.
given